Today's chapter is called Modern Day Obstacles, also known as Why Your Phone is Low Key Plotting Against Your Salah. And so grab your Quran, your water, your emotional support miswak, and let's spiritually detox together. Because the dunya is loud, but Allah is calling. Modern day obstacles. Since this world is a test, as we've established numerous times throughout this manual, Allah placed some obstacles along our way to gauge our level of sincerity. Jannah, paradise, has many levels and is similar to a pyramid in its hierarchy. There are more people on the bottom levels than there are at the top. The higher up we go, the more special and magnificent the rewards and bounties awaiting us. Those on higher levels can visit those on lower levels, while those on the lower levels cannot access those on the higher ones. Ya Allah, for those that are depending on their deeds. Habibi, do you plan on visiting? Okay, I answered that. Yeah, okay. Just making sure the sound and video is clear. Are you also a doctor? No, I'm not. I'm not a doctor. So entering paradise is only through the grace and mercy of Allah. Okay, so those on higher, while those on the lower levels cannot access those on the higher ones. Entering paradise is only through the grace and mercy of Allah. But our place in paradise is based on our conduct and the quality of our deeds in this world. The better our deeds, the higher up we go. Allah puts these obstacles before us in our journey as a filtration and placement system. أم حسبتم أن تدخلوا الجنة ولما يعلم الله الذين جاهدوا منكم ويعلم الصابرين. Do you think you will enter paradise without Allah, proving which of you truly struggled for His cause and patiently endured? The beloved 8. Jannah has 8 doors, and it's an interesting observation that the main obstacles are exactly 8, as mentioned in the Quran. قُلْ إِن كَانَ آبَاؤُكُمْ وَأَبْنَاؤُكُمْ وَإِخْوَانُكُمْ وَأَزْوَاجُكُمْ وَعَشِيرَتُكُمْ وأموال اقترفتموها وتجارة تخشون كسادها ومساكن ترضونها أحب إليكم من الله ورسوله وجهاد في سبيله فتربصوا حتى يأتي الله بأمره والله لا يهدي القوم الفاسقين. Say, O Prophet, if your parents and children and siblings and spouses and extended family, that's 5, and the wealth you have acquired and the trade you fear will decline, and the homes you cherish, that's 8. If all these are more beloved to you than Allah and His Messenger and struggling in His way, then wait until Allah brings about His will. Allah does not guide the rebellious people. The obstacles in order. Number 1, parents. Number 2, children. Number 3, brethren. Number 4, spouses. Number 5, tribes. Number 6, money saved. Number 7, businesses you run that you're concerned might turn a loss. And number 8, homes you enjoy. So more than half of these obstacles are family related, which is the main struggle faced by both those considering Islam and those trying to advance in their spiritual growth as Muslims. We're naturally attached to many of these obstacles. I want to say something here, because some people are like, brother, I like these things. Yeah, me too. I like nice cars. I like beautiful women. I like nature. The Prophet ﷺ was asked, what do you love of this world? And one of the things he mentioned is women. So are you like, oh, astaghfirullah, bro? No, anybody that tells you that they don't like these things is lying to you. And the reason they're lying to you is simple. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala himself says, He says what? زُيِّنَ لِلنَّاسِ حُبُّ الشَّهَوَاتِ. Zuyina, it's made appealing to them. So we also said how zuyina is a type of veil, right? Like we say, the mar'a tuzayyin nafsaha, she puts zina to cover up blemishes. So if you want to, typically we look our normal selves when we first wake up in the morning, right? And then we wash up, and women typically add cover up, makeup, all that stuff. And then they have a certain look. فَتُزَيِّنُ الْمَرْأَةِ نَفْسَهَا لِلرَّجُلِ. Hopefully not to other people. She's beautifying herself for the sake of Allah primarily, and to, look good for her husband. So women, when it comes to zina, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, زُيِّنَ لِلنَّاسِ, so nas here covers everybody, the believer, the non-believer, the kafir, the Muslim, everybody. What, ya Allah? حُبُّ الشَّهَوَاتِ. These are shahawat. Money, anything. The idea is not that it's natural to like these things. But what it is where Iman kicks in is if you have enough of the nur of Iman, it prevents you from taking the wrong action. It's the Muhammadun Rasulullah. So something in you will say, no, I can't. But when the Iman is weak, then you can. So anybody that comes and tells you, I don't like money, I don't like nice cars, I'm like, no, yes you do. But you're gonna, these things that you own, you're gonna keep within the realm of what? Within the realm of Sharia. And then at that point, you're safe. So, and I've said this many times, the point of money is not that to fulfill your needs, because money cannot fulfill anybody's need. Allah is the one that, Al-Ghani, He doesn't need anyone. And He's Ar-Razaq, He's the one that fulfills needs. And most people, their hearts turn to what? Their hearts turn to whomever they feel and believe fulfills the needs. So when your heart is attached to anything, you turn towards it. And then you rely on it. So the whole point to remove reliance on makhluk, you have to first know your khaliq. And then so when فَعْلَمْ أَنَّهُ لَا إِلَهَ إِلَّا اللَّهِ. So again, the idea is it's natural for you to like it, but you don't act upon anything that is haram. So what is the purpose of money? Not to fulfill your needs. The purpose of money is not to fulfill your needs. The purpose of money is to test you. What you're going to do with that money. Every time you tap that Visa credit card, every time you Apple Pay, Allah is going to ask you, did you need that extra pair of shoes? Money is a mas'uliyah from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There's so many obstacles in this day, wallahi. Today we don't even miss Fajr because we're tired. We miss it because we sacrifice sleep on the altar of the algorithm. Isn't it true? Staying up scrolling all night. Mindless scrolling on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube Shorts, doom scrolling news or Gaza content without acting or praying for them. You're just curious. I just want to know. It's exciting. But have you done anything? Have you prayed for them? Do you pray for them daily? Like really? Do you? After every salah? Replacing Quran recitation with endless, like just all the time we spend on our phones. Just endless hours. Scrolling instead of reciting the Quran. Yeah. So these things are all types of obstacles. But Allah talks about these. So it's normal to like these things. Just don't act upon it. You don't need, a second Porsche. One is plenty. You have one nice car, khalas. And you can express God's ni'mah and blessings through this car. A nice home, okay, khalas. You have to go overboard with the riches. Because they're gonna distract you. You're going to have to maintain, and then on the day of judgment, you have to be asked. They're going to slow you down. So just be careful what you wish for. That's why I ask for afiyah. I just want enough that I don't need anybody, Allah, and I don't turn to anybody. But not so much that I'm distracted from you. Huh? And then at the end of the day, your rizq is written and it's part of your test. SubhanAllah. So more than half of these obstacles are family related, which is the main struggle faced by both those considering Islam and those trying to advance in their spiritual growth as Muslims. And it's because I remember when I started practicing my deen, like properly practicing, for my parents, it felt like extremism. It was like, what are you doing? Is Ousama being brainwashed? It's a bit, why can't you be normal? Why can't you be like all the other Muslims? Like shaved beard. وَإِن تُطِيعُوا أَكْثَرَ مَنْ فِي الْأَرْضِ وَإِن تُطِعْ أَكْثَرَ مَنْ فِي الْأَرْضِ. What is it? يُضِلُّوكَ عَنْ سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ. Please, someone look up the verse. It says, if you were to listen to the majority of the people on earth, they would lead you astray from God's path. So this whole thing, it's not like the majority when it comes to deen. It's always the minority. كم من فئة قليلة غلبت فئة كثيرة. You know, how many times did a small group of people overcome and overwhelm or overcome those in large numbers? So it's not يعني, a numbers game. It's not. And so I remember it was just like to the point where at some point, like for my parents thought like they were doing me a favor. I remember one time my father tried to cut my beard while I was sleeping. You know, I laugh about it now, but it was like terrifying back then. And so it's like, why can't you just be like balanced? Can't you just like, you know, work and do everything? And when you free time, you pray your 5 times salah and that's it. You fast Ramadan, you pray. Are those the only commands of Allah? The 5 pillars of Islam? Yani? There's nothing beyond salah and zakah. And I don't have to work on my heart and remove envy and hasad and, you know, ostentation, riyah. You know, all the diseases of the heart, the things it's attached to, the things it loves. Who's going to do that? How am I going to do that while I'm balanced? That's why I always say there is no balance. There's no balance between dunya and deen because it's a way of life. So deen enters into every aspect of your life. That's why, what does Sharia mean? Does anybody know? Like, I think it's source of water. It's like the source of life. وَجَعَلْنَا مِنَ الْمَاءِ كُلَّ شَيْءٍ حَيٍّ. See how they link up together? Subhanallah. Jazakum Allah khair for, mashallah, I love you guys. You're so kind. You don't have to, but it means a lot. Alhamdulillah, I strive to pray and live justly, but one thing I continue to struggle with is understanding the signs Allah places in my life. I often find myself unsure about which path or decision. You know what? I think it's a good idea that we finish and then I go back and look at, because then it gets just confusing for people. Keep going back and forth. But thank you. I'll get to your question, inshallah. So this is what it is. It's like when it comes to parents, when it comes to family, especially parents that are completely out of the deen, like for them, they're just Muslims by name, and they're like, you have to obey me. I would say, إِنَّهُ لَيْسَ مِنْ أَهْلِكَ إِنَّهُ عَمَلٌ غَيْرُ صَالِحٍ. Now that applies from father to son, not from son to father. So you still have to take care of them if you're parent, even if they're non-believers. Yeah, they have a right upon you. So some of us, if you pass the test of parents, like you become religious, your parents get in your way, and you're steadfast. That's the test. Who do you think is moving your parents against you? Allah. Why? To test you. What? Are you going to be steadfast? That's what Allah wants. We'll see how sincere you are. It's all a matter. It's just a game of sincerity. That's the name of the game at the end of the day. So are you gonna, stick to it, or you're gonna? And then see, they'll respect you when you stick to it. But the funny thing is, it's like you lose God's and your parents' respect if you drop the ball. You're like, fine, I'll shave my beard. Then it's like, see, sometimes he shaves, sometimes he doesn't. But if you stick your ground, khalas, they figure out there's no use. And then they stop. Eventually, they get sick of it. And then they adapt. And then they see if you're genuine, the fruits of it. And then, it might, inshallah, impact them positively. It's not typically easy because you're there. It's tough to take advice from your son or daughter, obviously. So we have to be careful of the whole. You get through that, you get through parents, then what do you have to get through? The job. Most people, where do they lose it? They lose it at work. They get a job. Khalas, I need to make money, but it's a bank. Inshallah. But everybody else, inshallah, Allah Ghafur Rahim, then they go fatwa shopping. Is it okay to work at a bank, a ribawi bank? And then it's like, man. So if you pass the test, no, Siri, I don't want anything quiet. So if you pass the test of parents, then the test of, your earning of livelihood, whatever, and then the wife. A lot of people, they leave the deen after marriage. They marry some beautiful woman, she impacts them, they, slowly, as the man gets weaker, then he starts joining her in her habits. Before you know it, they're drinking and partying and they're gone. And then, children. So you pass those tests, usually you're in the safe zone. Most people lose the ball at rizq, at the, they're earning a livelihood, and at the wife. Most of us. Allah have mercy on us. Okay. Now, come on. So we're naturally attached to many of these obstacles. Allah doesn't ask us to remove the love of these things completely from our hearts. He created us and knows how weak we are. Rather, He wants us to love Him, His Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, and strive in Allah's path. He wants us to love Him, His Prophet ﷺ, and strive in Allah's path, struggling to put His commands before our own whims and desires, more than any of these obstacles or tests. Allah will send us situations in our lives to test us with one or more of these things. How do we pass the test? How does Allah know that we love Him more than any of these things? He knows, but He tests us to establish proof against us on the Day of Judgment in case we raise an objection. The next obvious question is, how do we know if we're passing or failing these tests? You got a lot of money, are you passing or failing the test? For example, it's quite simple really. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sends a situation our way where making a particular choice will seem to come at the cost of these bounties with which He blessed us. We either choose the bounty or Allah. Whichever one we choose is the one we love more. For example, imagine we're not yet Muslim, but considering becoming Muslim. Our parents tell us that if we move forward with that decision, they'll disown us. Do we choose Islam or our parents in this case? Or we are presented with an opportunity where we can make a lot more money than we do now, but the revenue from this business venture is morally or ethically questionable and is most probably impermissible. Do we choose the money or do we choose Allah? Whichever one we choose is the one we're more attached to or that we love more. When we truly love someone, we're prepared to sacrifice everything and everyone for them. The first 5 obstacles Allah mentions in this verse have to do with social and environmental pressures. We may be worried what family members will think or how they will perceive us. In more severe circumstances, we may wonder what they might do to us in response to our choices. It tests our mindset and integrity. The last three of the 8 items are mainly financial obstacles, but the last one is also about our personal comfort. Allah wants to see, when we used to travel for da'wah, it wasn't comfortable. Like we would sleep on sleeping bags, on the floor, we would, put up tents, there would be mosquitoes sometimes that eat you up. The food, might not be like too comfortable with it or used to it. Like, where's my comfortable bed and Tempur-Pedic pillow? You've got your system at home, my supplements, my honey, my this type of water filtration system, and you've got all these systems in place. And then you unplug, and then you just you feel like a fish out of water. It's tough. It's tough. But then when you remind yourself who you're doing it for, it becomes sweet. Like even for me, 47 years old, sleeping on the floor and it wasn't cutting it. I ended up going to Canadian Tire or whatever and getting one of those inflatable, super thin mattress. Not like a mattress. It's literally just this much, just so, my back is not, I realized I can't do what I used to do back in the days. That's why I'm pushing myself a little bit more these days at the gym. To try and have as much of a quality of life in the end years as possible, inshallah. Not sure if these end years, for all we know, with everything happening right now and the tensions in the Middle East. And there are people that come up and they'll say things like, Brother Ousama, you put up these posts about nuclear explosions and this and that, and you're trying to, some of the comments that, were read to me were just people you're trying to scare people, and why do you talk about that? And I think a lot of people think that, content makers online are always trying to find the thing that's going to, get the most views. And so they're going to talk about it. But for me, honestly, I was always curious because I always had this impression that when a nuclear bomb goes off, it's like the end of the world. But it's not really. But, so I wanted to dig into it. And so I wanted to share it. But it's not. You've got to make the post fun at the same time, So, yeah, sometimes we might get over animated a little bit here and there, joke around, maybe sometimes inappropriately. It's just not good. But volume on YouTube needs to be louder. Tell me if this is any better. Is this better? Love from Sri Lanka. Love back at you. SubhanAllah. Keep going, Brother Ousama. Yes, we'll keep going, inshallah. So Allah wants to see if we're willing to sacrifice a particular lifestyle. Little bit louder. Volume is good. Okay, good. Thank you. Wants to see if we're willing to sacrifice a particular lifestyle for his sake. So whether it is, I had situations like scorpions were about to bite me. I had a situation where I was giving dawah in India. And it was a very poor neighborhood. And so the ceilings were low. So I'm giving dawah to the brother. And you know me, I'm very animated. And brother, there's only one Allah. And they have these fans, just spinning at full speed, right? And I said, Allah. And, that fan just, my finger. And all I could feel is an extremely sharp pain right there. All of a sudden, I just kind of yelled, obviously, screamed, and then dropped my hand and just, from the pain, I was just covering it like this. And I looked around, I was in pain, and I'm looking around while I'm in pain, just like that. And then the brothers, they're sitting there going, and I realized they were looking for my finger on the floor. I freaked out. I literally was like, Ya Allah, please be there. Please. Because I actually imagined, because it was numb at the time. I had a feeling like I could breathe like this and the finger's not there, right? It was there, but it was pretty badly bruised. So you go through all these, I'm chased by stray street dogs in the middle of the night because I had to get up and use the washroom. Some stray dog starts barking and running after me. I go full speed rushing. I find a washroom. I get in and close the door, lock it, and it's there standing at the door for the next half an hour barking, waiting for me to get out. Uncomfortable with the food, with some of the cultures, not used to it, the sleeping arrangements. But it's all for the sake of Allah. So bihun, it's like, it's fine. And there's a sweetness to it. You taste the sweetness of Iman. How many of us are comfortable leaving? People's like, no, I can't be out of my comfort zone for more than 2 minutes, or 2 days, whatever it is. Why not? Why not be out of your comfort zone? If anything major were to happen. Was it bleeding? I don't remember, honestly. They wrapped it up, took me to the hospital. I think it was really bad. It was like bruised up, like triple the size or something. It was bad. But we're just saying the comforts of this life. Don't get too comfortable. And I'll be honest with you. I like my comforts. I'm not it's for me, deen is an understanding. It's not against money. It's not against these things. It's just a perspective of how to deal with these things. And once you crack that code, you're good. Inshallah ta'ala. But just be careful because you could slip again easily, into the dark side if you're not careful. That's why it's very important to have the right type of company and suhbah and friendships in place.